Hello, everyone. I'm joined by DFJ. DFJ.
Hi.
We're here. We're here to talk about Isabella Pereira, James Vatuska, and the Without a Crystal Ball receipts that come down yesterday. And
Yeah.
we're going to talk about the sanctions, Wayfarer's response to the sanctions, lively sanctions.
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy week because it started off with Isabella, and that was, that was a whole thing on its own. And then yesterday, I mean, that was the first time I think I've yelled like, holy, bad word out loud when reading something this week. I was like, what the James Vatuska with the Without a Crystal Ball drop was so crazy yesterday. I'm still processing that. So, but yeah, we should start with Isabella.
We we just to let everyone know, I'm actually really not very well today. I've got COVID, and I struggled on live stream a little bit last night. I feel even worse today. So DFJ is if I might be kind of a bit stop-starty, but DFJ's got my back.
Yeah. I'm feeling a little under the weather too, but I will just keep. I mean, I feel like I have enough to say to keep going for a while, and hopefully we get some good questions, and it will be fine. So we should.
Yeah, we'll get through it, and we will make sure we go through everything. We answer all the questions. So, that will definitely happen. We're in safe hands with each other. We've obviously got our amazing moderators as well, who always take care. Hi, Lara. So where do we want to start with this?
So she was dodging the subpoena, which I think you have the ruling, or you have your thread, or
yeah, we're going to go through little bits of it because we're not going to go through word by word per word every part of each filing, because that was 23 pages in itself, which was far more than was actually necessary. Most of that was just PR and being a bitch.
Yeah, well, if you want to start like, at the end first, what do you think that they'll choose? Do you think she will, comply with this subpoena, or do you think that Lively and Wayfarer are just gonna, or I guess it's more Lively's decision, it's just gonna say we're not gonna use her?
It's a really hard one, actually. It could go either way. I think that's why I was a bit annoyed that the judge didn't comment on that offer, but I can understand why. They could, if Lively didn't get anything substantial, and Lively may not want that message that says thank you for the safe environment, etc., and you were a great director. She may not want that in there. We've obviously all seen it because it's in the complaint.
But yeah, the lawyers already acknowledged it.
Yeah, but I could see a reason, unless there's something substantial that happened. I think there's more reason for Lively to not want her communications in. We don't really know what was happening between the two of them during the marketing, but they were obviously spending a lot of time together, and there is undoubtedly going to be stuff has been said, and whether there's text chain or like emails or some kind of written form of message between the two, which she would effectively have to hand over. And I think that's actually a really good point, the starting point. We lined this up. So one of the things that Ferreira was saying was, oh, I shouldn't have to give this over because I've already done it. And she didn't. Basically, it's not the same subpoena.
Yeah, of course not. Like she's not going to ask for the messages between her and Isabella.
No, exactly. So this one is Baldoni's subpoena. Actually, I'll start with Lively's because obviously Lively has already served her subpoena and she's responded to it. And Lively is asking for communications and documents between her, Lively, and any Wayfarer defendants, Sony, cast, crew members of the film concerning the behaviour of Baldoni and Heath, but it's specific to during the production of the film. It's not at any point. It's like, it's not editing or the promotion, but here, this is Baldoni's, and Baldoni is asking, well, I want documents made during this, actually on both request 1, even though I didn't highlight it, and request 2. So, and his period of time that he's looking for communications and documents is during the editing, production, or promotion of the film. So he covers the entire time. And that's going to be important because that's during that promotion
is when they bonded. They weren't on set together.
They weren't on set together, no. And Lively, apparently was told, that, I mean, she's the one who put in her complaint that Baldoni was inappropriate towards Isabella Pereira. So, who told her that? Where did she hear that from? What did she say to Isabella Pereira? How was she speaking to her? What were they talking about? Because at some point the mood shifted and suddenly she stopped being so positive about Baldoni and was seemingly making fun of him in interviews, it was weird. But
it was definitely, I mean, it was the same vibe as like that with the Kirsty, the flaw.
Yeah,
I felt like it was that same vibe in that your little bump video. It just with her that the way they were talking about like the director and wouldn't say his name, and it was very, I don't know what happened. All I'm saying that was like, that Isabella, like, it did not. She had a decision. She had a choice to make, and I think she definitely made her choice,
and still is.
Yeah.
And for all her lawyer as well, Isabella Pereira's lawyer did to criticize Baldoni for putting in a request that included all documents related to other subpoenas in this action. Again, here in where I highlighted in orange in production number 5, right? All documents produced in connection with any subpoena in this action. At the bottom in orange, production number 6, Lively asked for exactly the same thing. All documents and communications produced in connection with any subpoena in the actions. So that was a little bit frustrating.
That was definitely frustrating, and she deserved all the backlash she got, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, you do that, join Cheryl.
Join General. Yeah, next time I see a pregnant friend, I'm gonna say, "Congrats on your ginormous bump."
Yes, Sean, it was total mean girl energy. I when I went back now to look at that interview she did, where she was talking about Baldoni and just referring to him as her director. The first time around, I don't think I really kind of noticed it, but now I've seen this filing, and when I went to watch it again, I was a bit like, yeah, there it is.
Yeah, and also, did you hear the Tilted Lawyer or Omar's feedback on the Isabella Ferreira's lawyer?
Yeah.
He's like, this is something you'd see from like a first-year lawyer, or he's like, he's just trying to, make a name for himself on this like public document, because it was a little ridiculous. And I mean, Omar basically said, like, by him responding and asking for sanctions, he's basically acknowledging he's received the subpoena. So it's like, why is he now saying, like, that's why I also am frustrated with the judge. It's like, why is the judge now saying they have to still try to serve Isabella the subpoena, like, via an address, but they use the address from Lively?
Well, yeah, and I completely agreed. I remember Omar called him a clown. He has said that quite a bit, but I'll go back to my filing actually, because for the first time on all the filings that I've done since February in this case, on nearly everything, right next to the thread symbol, I put the first ever declaration. Because I knew, and what did I say? I don't know if you can you see me highlighting here?
Yes.
Can you see what I've highlighted?
Yes.
Before Omar said it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's what like a lot of us kind of thought, and
Yeah.
because that's what it came across as. It was so unhinged. It was, I mean, even it got nag, like not actually golden. I think I mean, there's very few things that get her really worked up, and she was worked up.
I was like, I was literally like, right, cancel my day. I'm dealing with this. And I literally, I put, because I knew I was going to go to town on this guy, so I put a disclaimer to say my opinions are alleged and based on legal filings. But my first sentence, I don't normally do this, but I'm going to start by summarizing this guy as a fucking clown.
Good for you.
I mean,
good for you. I'm glad you said that. And yeah, I mean, because he was, but how did the judge? I don't understand how like Lyman didn't let or didn't tell him like you've accepted the subpoena, like because he via email. I mean, and they accepted Lively's subpoena via email, so why are they?
Well, exactly. I mean, yeah. I mean, for me, this was the most unprofessional filing I have seen. I'm sure everything I'm saying now I've said in that document, so the disclaimer still applies. It's my opinion based on these legal filings. I personally find it the most. I mean, he's spelling Wayfarer's name wrong in all the way through. He's then calling it the
Baldoni parties. Yeah, that was ridiculous. And then the
overrating
AI
the use of the word harass. There was no. This is not.
Yeah.
Do you know what annoys me actually? I'm going to share my screen again, but there is a reason, actually, a genuine reason why. I've got to find it 1 second. There's a genuine reason why this really upset me, right? And it's personal, actually. Not personal as in I can't share it, but like for me, this felt very personal. And I'm just.
This is not harassment.
No, this is not harassment. Here we go. All right, I'm going to share the screen now, right? Sorry, everyone. I got subpoenaed. I never set foot on that set. I was not part of the editing. I went nowhere near the promotion. I got subpoenaed. I felt harassed because there was no need for me and the other 106 people who had nothing to do this and did nothing more than say the reasons we don't believe Blake Lively and the reasons we don't like her particularly. And yeah, this actually came from one of Ezra Hudson's filings in response to Perez's request for a protective order, actually. This is a little footnote. As the court is aware, Ms. Lively issued third-party subpoenas to discover connections between Wayfarer defendants and specific content disseminated through platforms such as YouTube and X, right? It had nothing to do with that. She issued the subpoenas as soon as we said, well, actually, we kind of object to this in any form. She withdrew it and then filed a misleading letter to suggest she had met with us and had information, got what she wanted, was her words. And it was all a PR gimmick, right?
Yeah, and she also didn't even include the full text message with the traceable. That was only part of that message. If she had included the whole message, the last part of it says, like, these are options if you wanted to discuss more, blah, 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 whatever.
But some of us, right, some of us, when we were dealing with those subpoenas, right, some of us were actually worried, right? Like Ashley was incredibly concerned because of the detrimental effect it may have on her business, her PR business. Some of us, you know, you had Ken's, you had Leslie G, who'd only ever spoken about domestic violence.
Yeah.
Myself, I was speaking from the perspective that I was in a decade-long abusive marriage. And, you know, I've been through the court process and we were speaking from that perspective and we got subpoenaed. And it took me off content creating for 2 weeks whilst helping some people with their motions to quash. And then I got hit with my own and I had to deal with my own in the middle of it. So other people spent thousands of dollars on lawyers trying to, you know, when they had a meeting compare, they're the ones who had meeting compares, by the way. And their subpoenas were withdrawn with no information shared or anything. She got nothing. But the image that she gave was that she did get something, but here at this on the bottom of this, right? She says there is nothing harassing or improper of such a process. But yet Isabella Ferreira, someone who was actually there, who is named by Blake Lively as being someone who had relevant information, who happily accepted Blake Lively's subpoena and complied with it.
That's the point. That's my big
sitting
point.
there, like, and using the word "I'm being," harassing over a dozen times in what is clearly a gratuitous filing, which most of which doesn't even talk about the alternative service.
And how would she know she's being harassed if they were at the wrong address?
Exactly. And, it just shows how they're throwing around terms such as harassment and giving it no meaning whatsoever anymore.
But that's the biggest red flag anytime, like, I read any legal filings, and this was my, like, biggest red flag when I read, like, the New York Times article, is when they're using all these, like, descriptive language and, like, those, like, trigger words like harassing, or, like, over and over for things that are not harassing. That's, like, my red flag when I know you're full of it. Like, because otherwise just say what happened. Like, when things are just more just to the point and just kind of say what happens, like the way Wayfair is doing it, that's who I find to be more credible. And I think the fact that, yeah, she accepted Blake Lively's subpoena. I didn't see her running to the press and crying about it and saying that Lively harassed her, because this is, like, obviously, she has something to lose by, her messages coming out, is my opinion. That's what I'm guessing. And
yeah, exactly.
Big mistake for her. So now let's catch up. Like, the point where they're at right now is the judge basically told Wayfair they need to continue trying harder to serve her in person. Which this is coming from the judge who, like, let Lively serve someone via LinkedIn.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he did say that, he's not going to grant sanctions because there's just, like, improper you can't just, like, he's not going to grant sanctions for this subpoena. That lawyer is out of his mind. So
of course he's out of his mind.
But
we got that.
Yeah, we got that. So
that was never in doubt.
Yeah, I mean, So they're gonna. I guess Wayfair is gonna continue trying to serve her unless Lively is gonna, agree that we just don't use her at all, both of us.
And Gigi's got hit it right on the head. The harassment was used to generate headlines saying Justin harassed Isabella Ferreira and make the public think it was during the film. And that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened.
No, exactly. Yeah.
This subpoena, right? It got picked up by the mainstream media. Ours didn't.
I know.
We were ceremoniously just subpoenaed. Like, that's a normal thing to do. It's not. And, just to go back to it, because it really, like, I'm going to need therapy after this. But, I mean, I was out of the group of 5. I was the one that was legal. I'm legally qualified. So for me, it's like, okay, I can deal with this. But there were many others who weren't, didn't know what to do, where to start.
Mm-hmm.
And that's terrifying. And then they were looking around at, lawyers, and the bills and the fees. Some of them were up in, like, they wanted full retainers. And that was hitting like 200,000 or 20,000. There was like a huge variation in fees of what was being asked, with no prospect of getting these reimbursed, by the way. That's not happening. Like, this girl wants to be indemnified, which is a whole other argument I don't think she's going to be entitled to, because that's normally if someone's actually making a claim and you're a party. And even if that's the case, to suggest that they were trying to control the narrative, that was so untrue. I can't believe that the lawyer even put that in, because it is perfectly normal if a company provides legal indemnity, they choose the lawyers.
Yeah,
they choose the lawyers because it's not to control your response. It's so it's just a standard procedure, but it's obviously because they will be able to work out a better financial deal. They will get they may already have like a discount because they put a lot of work that the law firm's way, so it'll work out cheaper for them and more efficient. Plus, if you're
Yeah.
being sued as a result of something that happened related to the film, the studios are involved in that and they have a right to know what's going on. So,
Well, the last thing I'll say about that is that I made a post on this because people kept saying like, oh, they were trying to like find what was the AI hallucination case that was they were citing, and they very clearly say like in the
Andrew
memorandum
Hudson,
in the
no,
declaration it was from, well, they say a letter from
yeah,
April 11th, and then but they don't provide it, so it's complete BS, and people kept saying like, oh, is it from this and this? No, it was from April 11th, and
yeah.
and they didn't provide an exhibit of it. And at first he calls it a letter, but then he said there was back and forth. So obviously he means email, but it's just like, letter. I think you're lying. I think you're
Yeah.
lying, sir. You're not honest, and you didn't show the receipts. So
No, exactly. And wasn't that in? I thought that was in some. There was some mention of it as well with Perez.
well, Perez, like one of the first things he filed on the New York docket, he used AI, hallucination AI, or maybe it was in Nevada. I can't remember, but one of the ones he filed, he did use, Chat GPT, and it gave him fake cases. But then like he quickly realized it, and then never, is now always double checking all of his citations, and
Yeah.
Chat GPT told him, I guess they had a hallucination AI, and it apologized, and he's like, okay, well, that sucks, but don't worry, we can get back around to Perez. But on what you're saying about the paying, for the lawyer, I think that's a good segue to the James Vatuska.
Yeah, definitely. Hi,
Because
Rascal.
that is insane. What do you think is going on there?
I've had a bee in my bonnet with this guy. I accept his declaration to a point from June, right? I believe that he did say sexual assault when he should have said sexual harassment. Fine, I got no problem with that. My issue with him is it was in a complaint for months and he said nothing about it. He did not get them to correct the record. There's no evidence that he asked them to correct the record.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, the stuff that's come down from Without a Crystal Ball suggests that he was well aware of it because he did make a request for one thing, one change, which Wayfarer did, was the original exhibits that were added with his text messages. They had his photo on them and his name, and he asked them to redact it, which they did. But he did not say, "Oh, hold on a minute, I made a mistake there. You've interpreted that as Leslie Sloan mentioned sexual assault. That's not what I meant to say." He did not correct that, and I had a problem with that because don't forget, he hasn't just suddenly stumbled into this. He would have been sent subpoena, interrogatories. It would have been stuff going on, contact in the background, probably from early on, because some of his messages, they would have been seen by probably by Blake Lively in the hoard that she got from Van Zandt. So
Yeah.
they would have been aware of his involvement in his communications. I just, the guy keeps changing his story, and it's like, well, yeah, I can see that. I don't know.
Okay, well, let me ask you that, because I've heard some
Go on.
people say they think that he's getting ready to like sue, and I was like, I disagree, and this is
Yeah,
just
I do.
me, but I'm like, okay, this guy is unemployed. He's like saying how he's not able to, no one's going to hire him now because of this. And so someone who's like unemployed like that, who is not going to just file a lawsuit against Wayfair for what? I think he's just trying to protect himself, which I think he's always tried to do. I saw a funny comment from Annie. I can't say Ruock. Oh,
Annie, are
Annie,
you
are you
okay?
okay? That's what it means.
Yeah.
Okay, Annie, are you okay? She said, James Vatuska needs medical intervention and a dictionary. And yeah, I think so. And I think he's trying to save his butt. I think maybe he sees like the writing on the wall, like that if Wayfair, like if they prevail here, like they can add him on to if they appeal their dismiss claims, I think. But also,
Yeah.
just this PDF, like this thing that Without a Crystal Ball came up with, I was literally like, what the hell? And you know that she's not the only one who has that. Like,
Yeah.
I think Perez does, because remember, he also had a source. He never said who it was because he's a journalist, remember? Like, just another example that he can add on for his hearing next Thursday, that showing he's a journalist who protects his sources. But I'm just saying, because he had the same T, that James Vatuska was going to file this like amended declaration, and he did.
Yeah.
But I think I just have this like feeling that Perez and Without a Crystal Ball are not the only ones who got this email or file from James, because he's obviously spent a lot of time on this PDF. Like, he was really saying like Leslie Sloan is like a liar and used him to get out of her claims, and that Stephanie, I'm just spacing out, Stephanie Jones is like, she's the reason for all of this, and like how much Leslie and Stephanie lie. And I'm just like, did he send this to a bunch of people and they kind of wrote it off and they don't want to read this like giant PDF of like what seemed like ramblings? Like, I almost feel like this is something like Without Crystal Ball is like, ooh, let me see what this is. And because I'm like, why is no one else showing this? Like, I really don't believe they're the only two people that he sent this to, because he spent a lot of time clearly putting this whole thing together.
In fairness to Perez, he hasn't actually brought any, he hasn't shown anything, he hasn't said anything, he's not confirmed he's got anything. But I think there was a few headlines a few months ago where there was, at the same time as Without a Crystal Ball was saying that he was pressured or coerced to fill in to sign that declaration back in June, just before Sloan was dismissed. But and Perez Hilton was saying a similar sort of thing, if I remember correctly. I'm just going from memory here. But he hasn't come forward with he hasn't been doing the receipt drop that Without
no, and he hasn't said like who his source is. He just says exclusive source, but it's just like, I mean, maybe it was someone else. I could see that too. But okay, so even if Perez is not a source of his, let's just say it is only Without a Crystal Ball. I mean, I don't believe he only went to her. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because he put a lot of effort into this. This was something he was like going to send out. He was saying how Daily Mail wouldn't publish the things he wanted to say. But he also seems like he just talks out of both sides of his mouth, like whenever is most convenient.
Yes, well, that's what I got, because although he put in that scathing declaration saying that Wayfarer misled the court, etc., which was completely gratuitous, by the way. He did not need to file that. No one asked for it. And if he's quote unquote correct in the record, he only had to send that to the parties, because the judge has no reason to look at that. So there was no need, other than a coordinated PR effort in the same week that Isabella Pereira is sending in a document which is 23 pages long. Most of it is gratuitous PR crap, and heavy use of the word harassing and inappropriate conduct. I said to you before we jumped on, I think this is being stockpiled in preparedness for summary judgment time. Well, that's coming the 5th of November. And I think Lively now has two things on the docket. One is James Vatuska's saying basically, Friedman lied, he misled the court, blah, 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 blah. And then you've got Isabella Pereira alleging, completely out of context, that Wayfarer, Baldoni specifically, is harassing her and is being inappropriate. Because she, like you said, she has nothing else.
She has nothing. Yeah.
And
I mean,
now she's got these two little gems sitting on the docket in the same week.
It's just, this is a good question from I'm Not a Bot 55. They said, and why did James Vatuska go through so many lawyers? Did he refuse to do some illegal activity, or did they refuse to do some illegal activity he was attempting? Well, but that's the other thing. That's why, because I know some people, I just felt like there was this big narrative like, oh, maybe he's going to sue. I mean, I'm sure he probably would want to, because like, it doesn't sound like he's going to get hired from anyone soon, but I don't think that's what's happening here. I think he's literally like you said, getting pressure. Maybe the pressure came down to like, you need to do this. You said you were going to file this. You need to file this, and so then he finally did.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I mean, we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. There will be more of a story, but even with that declaration, the text messages actually support Wayfarer and suggest that Leslie Sloan was smearing Wayfarer.
Yeah.
So I don't really know what's going on. It just seems like a complete mess. And we've actually, on that note, we've got a few good questions on that. So Max Rebo, the JB filing, do you think this will have a negative impact on Friedman still being allowed to represent Baldoni? Blake, and I agree with this, Blake will do anything to remove his representation. She is really going for that hard, and we will be covering the motion for sanctions and the response. But no, I don't think it's going to have an effect, because obviously the judge has just ruled before we started this live to say he's ignoring the letter, because Lively was not invited to file it. So he is finally, we are seeing him saying no to Lively. I'm sure she is going to rebound around the room over that. But he's ignoring it. Wayfarer don't have to respond to it. So that's going to be a nothing. I'm hoping that Wayfarer file a motion to strike.
Can I answer this question really quick from Gwen Campbell? She said, can you explain why so many were bringing up his declaration not being notarized? Because you only have to notarize an affidavit, not a declaration.
Yeah, there is a difference between an affidavit and a declaration. They both carry the penalty of perjury. An affidavit is more robust because it is usually signed in the presence of someone like a public official. Declaration is not. But this is why when Friedman signed in his affidavit, and I will die on this hill, when Friedman signed filed that affidavit, and it was an affidavit, not a declaration, over the Taylor Swift text messages, saying he had them, he was quite literally putting his career on the line. He was staking everything he's worked his life for on that statement. I 100% believe he got something, because he would not have filed that. Even though it ended up being stricken, he did not know that was going to happen. So, you know, I 100% believe that they've got something.
Oh, yeah, I think so too. And, you know, some people are trying to give excuses, you know, for Isabella, like, oh, you know, she's young. Like, what if she was like blackmailed? I was like, no, she's not blackmailed. She could have easily gone to Friedman and they would have had her back, because you know who else went to Friedman? Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift went to Friedman or her dad allegedly and said, you know, we want to limit her exposure here. Can we make a deal? And he did. And, you know, like Sarowitz, he was threatened and like he fought back. So she would have been protected either way. So I know most people here are pretty, you know, they're smart. They get it. I think at this point we all know who Isabella is. But yeah, with the affidavit with Friedman, like you said, that was a huge signal to me too. It was like, he's not messing around. Like
he's not.
His whole, you know, reputation, his credibility on the line. So he definitely got something.
And it will come. We will see it eventually. But he got something, absolutely. There's no way he would have filed an affidavit. I would never do that. You know, no one client is worth throwing everything away. And I said the same thing with yes. To your point there about Isabella Pereira, you know, being threatened or blackmailed. Everyone said the same thing when the rumors were going around about James Vatuska. Oh, well, he was being coerced and into signing that declaration. Sorry, he's represented by lawyers. They could have brought it. He could have said something to the lawyers. He could have brought it to Judge Lyman.
Yeah.
He could have said to the opposing party, "Hey, are you aware that, you know, Leslie Sloan or Blake Lively or whoever we're talking about here is threatening me and telling me I have to sign this and I do not want to sign it." He could have done any one of those things.
Daily Mail has their own lawyers. Like, they have good lawyers. So Yeah, and I agree with you too. So I think they're both and it makes me so mad because like with James, I can never say his last name right. I call it like James or JV, but I think he obviously at one point he did see the light, like he did see what was going on. And this is what everything he conversed with without a crystal ball about. I still just cannot believe, like, she had talk about receipts. Like, this wasn't one receipt. Like, she just had like all the receipts. Like, he said so much there that I don't know what happens with that at this point because, well, with Ezra's letter that she filed, her follow-up letter that like no one asked for, and that Judge Lyman just told her, like, you did not ask for leave to file this, so like this doesn't count. But the follow-up letter that she filed because of the James, I'm like, you're gonna rely on what he just said because this is what like his third sworn declaration. So you want to rely on his word. Like, first, he's not very credible, it seems, at this point. And then also, I was like, girl, like someone on Lively's team needs to send Ezra the without a crystal ball video because they're gonna need to make a new plan.
Oh, exactly. I haven't seen the video. I will say that. So I'm not coming from that perspective. I was sent the screenshots from her Instagram, and I have got them here. So we'll be kind of going through that. Got a question here from Super Sarah. I think she's asking someone else, but I'll answer it. Is it normal to have so many documents on the docket? Is it normal to have 689 filings on a docket when they're only at fact discovery? In this case, yes. This does not surprise me because there were 16 parties at one point. So there's all of that. Then there's a massive amount of witnesses because it's a film production, and then there's other people as well, family, friends, etc. There's like people at Sony, there'll be journalists, there'll be so many people. And then they're the most argumentative bunch of lawyers. They argue over everything. Literally, everything from he won't answer by interrogatory, right down to I don't want to do it by deposition in this law firm. I want to do it somewhere else. So they've argued over absolutely everything, and that is why we're seeing so much on the docket. But I mean, this is 7 months in. I'm actually surprised it's not more. I'm glad it's not more, but I'm surprised it's not more. And the other thing to remember is this is just one docket. Because we did have, until the dismissal, we had a Wayfarer v. Lively docket. We got Jones and Abel. We got Wallace and Lively in Texas. We got all the various subpoenas. We got, Colorado. You had DC, California, Nevada. Florida. We are now all over the place. So when I have all the dockets up on all the tabs for all the dockets up, there are, I think, 13 dockets currently as it stands, and that's with, half of the parties from Lively's side dismissed. So yeah, it's really crazy. It is incredibly hard to keep up, but
it really is.
It weren't so bad. Now they're putting so much under seal and redacting. That's a bit harder to kind of interpret, and then you got to go back and find stuff because first time round it was sealed, now it's being unsealed, and that can be a bit of head work to navigate. But I mean, it is what it is. I think it's proceeding kind of normal, but it's definitely a busy and quite contentious docket as well. I mean, but the lawyers are that way inclined. Wayfarer are making less noise than Lively. I'll be honest about that. We've seen very little from Wayfarer's side in terms of, feeling that they have to compel, they haven't filed for sanctions. They haven't filed any motions to strike. They've been quite measured, really, but Lively seem quite bratty.
Well, because Lyman lets them. I mean, for example, with the last order from the judge that happened like right before we came on, where he told Ezra, like, you weren't granted leave, to file this like a supplemental letter with him. But he's like, so Wayfarer is like relieved of having to respond. But it's like, if this was reversed and Wayfarer, like they did with Taylor Swift, filed something, then the judge would have like striked it from the docket. He didn't do that here, and I know with the Taylor one, it was a PR thing too. That's why he did it. But still, it's just like he's never given a stern tone ever to Lively's side.
No, and I do feel like that should be coming somewhere. This is about as stern as it's got so far, and he has got the choice to strike this sua sponte, really, if he wants to.
But he didn't.
He hasn't. Well, it's not really inflammatory per se, because the declaration is on the docket itself, so they're just referring to it.
Yeah, but they're saying it's
thing wasn't on the docket, and he didn't want it on the docket because the subpoena was being dealt with in DC, not on his docket.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he got annoyed because, and I know Lively technically filed the first letter, and yes, hers should have been stricken as well. I'm not sort of debating the merits of that. I've already said what I think of that, but it wasn't. However, here, the declaration is on his docket, and she's just rehashing, really, what the declaration says. So there's probably no point striking her letter because the inflammatory source of it is still there anyway, which is what I mean. Like, there was no need for him to have put it on the docket. That was just entirely gratuitous, I think.
Speaking of, though, he's got the Nevada motion to quash ordeal kind of still they're talking about it on his docket, because he had left it open basically with Perez to file file opposition to Lively's motion to compel and say why he thinks Nevada's jurisdiction, and then the Nevada judge set a hearing. So I mean, I think that kind of leaves whatever's going on the New York docket is at a standstill until Nevada decides on Thursday. And I think the Nevada judge knows this was important. Like, he scheduled that right away, the day after Perez put his motion to quash whatever on the docket. So he set this hearing.
I read the reasoning for the hearing. My opinion, and this is just an opinion, I've got nothing to back this up. This is just what I'm reading. From what my opinion is I'm hoping it stays in Nevada, but I've got a feeling it's going to move to New York.
You think it's going to move?
I think he's going to move it. I got that impression from some of the things he said in his, when his reasons for the hearing, has Perez opened himself up by, filing in.
Wait, the judge said this?
Yeah, do you not see that?
In Nevada, no, I have the order was just, it wasn't here, I'm pulling it up right now. I thought it was just, all it said was hold on, because I thought it wasn't even it was just this one little thing right here where it just said minute order in chambers, blah 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 blah. Before the court for consideration are 1, motion to quash, and 2, motion to seal document, blah, blah, blah. Hearing is set for 8/28, and that was it.
Hold on. I'm just seeing, I'm going back through my own, see if I can, I'll see if I can find it whilst I'm here, because I definitely saw something.
No, because I don't think he, and he was very, I don't know, I think he was very, respectful of the fact that Perez is pro se and explained how he could file correctly. If you're talking about the order from before that, where he told him, you have to this is the proper way to serve and this is the proper way to put it on the docket, but this is the correct place for this to be, this is the correct jurisdiction or whatever. But either way, I mean, Perez, he just had another letter and it hasn't hit either docket yet. Have you seen this one where because he put up the new text? You know how we just saw those new texts with Case or with Tag, where they said how do we get a hold of Perez? And that was from January of this year. And so Perez is he filed a letter in New York to be okay, well, now that new evidence has come out, I'm still going to add this to I still want to add this on, even though this is on hold until Nevada whatever after the hearing makes a ruling. But
Okay.
What?
Okay, yeah, fair enough. And I haven't read all of the Nevada stuff. I've got to do that this weekend.
Yeah, so but the last one was just that, like, you can't even buy it like on Pacer. It was just like that little note that because it's just an in-chamber note that they put on the docket that was like those 2 sentences. And the one before that was a little bit longer, but it was basically just saying this is how you have to serve, this is the date, and then he told Lively's this is the date to respond. And like that was it. It was pretty straightforward. But what's interesting, I did a little, digging, and this judge in Nevada, Judge Boulware, he has a connection to the Southern District of New York. He used to clerk for a federal judge that is still there named Denise Cody.
I read something like that.
Yeah,
I did read something like that. But it might have been yours, actually.
Yeah, I posted that on my profile. So I just thought or I didn't actually post it. I think I posted on his video or something. But I thought that was just kind of like an interesting little side note. It's just a small world. And also, but then when Perez added these texts that basically prove, and these texts, I think we got it because of Lively anyways, but it proves that Tag and Melissa Nathan, they didn't know how to get a hold of him. This is in January. So they should not be asking for anything before that, first of all, because it shows that he was reporting positively at that point without them helping him or giving him talking points. And then because he filed that, he's like, just to add on why, how everything was organic and what I built my opinion of Lively about. He then posted the blackface, and the fact that she got married at the plantation, and the little bump.
Oh yeah, because it was myself and someone else. I think it might have been Ludwig actually. We were suggesting these. We found Ludwig found
the SNL.
Yeah, the SNL.
I don't even think he put that one on there. He just put the other video.
Well, and I said, oh, and don't forget her blackface video where she admitted to doing blackface.
Mm-hmm.
So and then suddenly he's put them in. So that was pretty funny.
And the judge in Nevada is black.
Oh,
just saying. And he did, because when I was pulling something up, it said that he did like this, and it showed him in like the civil rights conversation. I mean, he's like, whatever. Either way, it's just because I don't think it's gonna, maybe like Lyman's not gonna really care, but I think in New York or in Nevada it's gonna play different. And also, do you think that Lively's team will withdraw this subpoena before the hearing?
No, I think there's something they want.
You think they're going to keep going? Okay.
Yeah, I think that's if they were going to do, because they did the same thing with Andy's social media one, as they did with us. Like they dropped it really quickly. The personal ones though, which is what Perez has and Andy has, they are not dropping them, they are fighting them. And I know with Perez, they are filing a motion to transfer to New York. So they are putting in the effort, definitely. I'm just going to quickly answer this from Jeanette B. I'm so confused by James reinserting himself. Wasn't his involvement tied to the defamation claim, which was dropped? What's the purpose of him reinserting himself, sir? We're not sure. I think, personally, if I had to put a one-worded label on it, I think shit stirrer.
Or trying to save his own butt from something.
Yeah, he's. I don't think he's gearing up to sue. I'm not getting the vibe that he's gearing up to sue Friedman.
No, I think he needs to save all his money right now because I was making a joke. I was like, because he said he can't get hired because of this like lawsuit or whatever. And I was like, maybe Perez will hire you because he's a real journalist.
Yeah.
And he's getting busier now from all of this. So, but yeah, I don't think he's getting ready to sue. I just think that like her team, they're just I think they're very manipulative. And I mean, maybe it had nothing to do with them, but I think that they like kind of put the pressure on him. Like, hey, are you going to do this or not? Or maybe it's from Leslie Sloan or someone,
Yeah, Lively's team, from experience, they're manipulative. There's no shadow of a doubt that they are absolutely manipulative. And I'm all for, advocating for your client. And sometimes it's a legal game of chess. That's fine. I've got no problem with that. when it crosses boundaries and violates ethics, or crosses, hits a moral kind of T-junction, and you're going the wrong way, then I have a bit of an issue. And so far, they are not above violating ethics, in my opinion. That's how it looks. That's how I feel about Ban Zan. That's how I feel about the way they misrepresent stuff. Jenny's asking, what does Lyman's latest order mean? Removing Wayfarer's burden to respond to Blake Lively's letter because she replied yesterday without permission. What that means is he's ignoring Lively's letter, so there's nothing for Wayfarer to respond to. He's just not listening to the letter because she had no leave to file it in the first place. She shouldn't have done it. So it doesn't really mean anything. It means the letter is not being taken into consideration, which is good.
I mean, they got like two people to do their bidding when they needed their bidding to be done, and Bella and James are going to go down. They still have time to change course, but I don't think they will. I mean, maybe James might. I don't know what's going to happen with him. That was a little bit insane. But the other thing with the Nevada one, I made a thread of like how ridiculous it is for Lively to be subpoenaing Perez, and so I gave like all these different examples. But one of the big ones was that this is like fresh off the murder of a journalist, Jeff German, and the Nevada journalists like showed up like in to see him get justice. Like their shield laws for journalists are one of like the strongest in the nation. And like even after his death, they passed like a law or it went all the way up to like whatever, like the highest court in Nevada, and they basically said like you still can't look up his sources even after his death to investigate his own murder. That's how much they protect their sources in Nevada. And this was not just anywhere in Nevada. It was in Las Vegas, which is where this hearing is going to be. And so I'm just saying to like go after a journalist for this like petty, like he said things about me, like it's a smear campaign. I mean, I think that they're going to get laughed out of court, to be honest. And I think Perez has a really good case. His motion to quash is actually really good. Chance to read that.
Impressed.
I was very impressed too. I think he had like a fairy godmother lawyer drop in or something to help with that, because that was very well done. And then he has these more things coming out because of Lively. So we'll see what happens, come Thursday. But I just think that it was pretty dumb for them to. I just thought that maybe they would withdraw, because this will be the first subpoena that we actually goes like to a point of where there's going to be a hearing.
Yeah. And I think Andy's could do the same thing, to be honest. I don't know what's going on with Candace Owens. Her subpoena.
They told her to wait. Yeah, I don't think anything's happened there.
Wait. What?
Yeah.
What are we waiting for?
Because they said they were waiting to see if they could get any of the same discovery from Wayfarer or their counsel, but obviously they can't, their counsel, because that was like shut down, weeks ago. And then I think personally, like they just don't. They're going to let hers just kind of go away. Like they don't want the publicity. And also, this is Candace Owens. Like, get in line. She's dealing with like the president of France and like these other giant like people who are way more important than whoever these like Lively people are. She doesn't care. So she's
Annie makes a great point, by the way.
What?
Annie makes a great point.
What did Annie say? Oh,
where's Hugh Jackman disappeared to? Is he in Reynolds' basement?
Yeah, right.
Probably.
I don't know. But it'll be So I mean, if they do, I could see them trying to ask for it to be moved to New York. But this is not some fresh like magistrate judge like they dealt with like Friedman's subpoena on his firm, where it was like he's like, I don't want to touch this. Like, okay, yeah, you can move it to New York. I think this judge will see things, in my opinion, a little different. And I already feel that based on what the two things he's done so far. So, and how quickly he set up this hearing, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be interesting. Maybe I'm sure I read something, but it may, I can't remember where I read that it may have been from Perez himself. Like, it might have been one of his headlines, because I haven't, like I say, I haven't had time to go through his or Andy's filings just yet, and I will be doing that. It's just been complete chaos. And I've set up 2 other streaming sort of segments that are not related to the case, and I've been a bit unwell as well. But I will be doing it this weekend. I'll be hitting all the Perez's, because I want to be up to date and time ready for the hearing as well. And then I'll be looking at Andy's as well, because, well, support a friend, obviously, but I'm curious to see what's been said between, in the back and forth there. Super Sarah replied to Annie and said, everyone is in Reynolds' basement. We might be in their basement.
Or in their bathroom eating burritos.
Yeah. I mean, Joe's asking, what about James Vatuska's email to Crystal Ball? We have got the slides, so we will get to that. I'm just looking for questions, but I am covering that as well.
Yeah, maybe we should look through those. I mean, the time, like the timeline of them, I kind of like I want to make a James Vatuska like timeline, like because I know that the messages about this essay, whatever, was in like August last year, and then after in December 25th, so this like after the New York Times article dropped, then he kind of like changed his tune, and then he, how many times has he changed his tune now, like, with the Stephanie or with the Leslie Sloan to get her fees, which, by the way, if anyone, like, if Wayfair is going to use like this like PDF and emails from without a crystal ball for anything, it definitely supports them against fees for Leslie Sloan.
Yeah, because that's still sitting there. That's not been decided on. So there is that still going on. That was the first thing I thought of was, she's going to use she's going to make use of Lively's letter, but now that's not the case. It's unlikely. She may still use it. I don't know.
Like a whole $1.3 million. Hens Homestead said, DFJ, if you make that timeline, it's going to look like that meme from Sunny in Philadelphia. Yeah. I was going to do another timeline before, but I didn't want to have to like convert all those like time codes, because like the ones from Jones are in one time, and the ones, all the new ones like from Koslow and Case are in a different time ones, and then the emails aren't like, I don't want to have to convert all that stuff. And I was like, I gave up on that one. But with this James one, it's just, I want to see, because I think she said starting in May, James emailed her and then just like stopped like 6 months later.
I had some people ask me, and I do not know the answer to this, is what I'm going to say. But I did have some people say to me, well, actually, could he have reached out earlier? Could he be the one who tipped her off about Van Zandt?
No, that was Boswell.
Was it Boswell that tipped her off?
No, he didn't tip her off, but he was the one who did the article. Vatuska
did the article, but Van Zandt came about at the end, like towards the end of April, wasn't it? It was in April,
like April 18th, April 17th.
Yeah. So some people are sort of, they asked the question, well, actually, could she have actually been talking to him since,
maybe
before May? And he's the one that tipped her off. I'm not sure. I don't know.
I mean, that's definitely possible.
It's possible. I think people believe that she was tipped off from someone, but I don't know. I think it's impossible, really, unless she says herself. I'm not going to say, well, yeah, that happened.
Well,
I don't know.
She could have found it though on her own, because Lauren did come across that also, but she thought it was nothing, and and so without crystal ball, I mean, she maybe just like kept with it, like really sunk into it and looked at it, and she was right. I mean,
yeah, exactly. That's why I can't say, oh yeah, this stuff. I think either is possible, but it's a question I had. I don't know. Because
when was James listed as, once he was involved with this lawsuit, I think Daily Mail people probably told him to like cut him off. And I think there are emails that she shows that are from James and the Daily Mail, like lawyers or HR or something. So I don't think that they were sharing this info at all with him at that point, especially that far in April. I don't think so. So yeah, I don't think he was for that.
exactly. And so that's one question we don't have an answer for.
And that's true too, what Joe said. Joe said it was Without Crystal Ball who reported it first. Daily Mail was already investigating it because they were shown the actual subpoena, and that's true too. So they kind of
their delay in reporting it, because they had the information. Because I had a lot of people say, well, why are Daily Mail not crediting Without Crystal Ball? And it's for the simple reason they didn't need her. They didn't need her information to find it. They had the subpoena.
Yeah.
The delay in reporting it was because they were interviewing lawyers such as Ron Zambrano and As2 lawyers, and they were getting feedback, on what had happened, because this was an unusual situation. So they were doing their due diligence, going to lawyers and saying, have you ever heard of anything like this? But Brian Friedman had already heard of it before Without Crystal Ball's video. He already knew about it at that point. So
because he told them,
kind of didn't need each other. Neither of them should be crediting each other, because if Without Crystal Ball has found it on her own, great, but she's not used Daily Mail. And Daily Mail clearly didn't need her information to alert them, because they already had it days before she did her video. So, two people found the same thing at the same time, so to speak.
Lively's people really do not like us talking about Van Sham, because I just worked. So I had like a video on jurisdiction with Judd Wallace, and I was just showing the how there's two Van Zans, and like, so if he was trying to figure out like what Van Zan was, like trying to figure out, backtrack from like the subpoena to the lawsuit, and then was like, what's Van Zan? And then sees there's two, and the one registered to Lively's in California. It's just another example of like why he wouldn't assume her jurisdiction, that she lived in New York, because like the Van Zan that subpoenaed him didn't have her name on it at that time. Anyway, so that video got struck, whatever, from YouTube. I appealed it, and they said I violated some rule, like whatever, and they said it was like not public available information. I was like, her own lawyer, or Van Zan's own lawyer, said it was publicly available information. They said that in the filing about how like Wayfair can find all the information about the company publicly, because it's all publicly filed. So whatever, but so they must be really on it. Cause like, again, I'm not a big channel. I have like 200 subscribers, and I worked so hard on that video. It was only like 6.5 minutes. And then like, I got struck because it shows you the part. And so it was like the Van Zan part. I was like, ooh, they really don't want us talking about Van Zan. So
no, exactly. I'm just going to quickly get to some, because there's a few questions I've got started now. So we've got Hens Homestead. Why is Lyman trying to keep information redacted when both parties say they didn't care? He may have his own separate reasons. He kind of has discretion over this. Normally, he would go with whatever the parties want. Most judges do, but occasionally a judge can go in a different direction, even if both parties are in agreement. But it depends. It depends what the reasoning is behind it. But I seen an order drop today where a bunch of stuff was being unsealed.
Or sealed, I thought.
Yeah, it was being unsealed. Because neither party has requested continue sealing. So that's normally why that happens. Gwen's asking, can you explain why so many were bringing up his declaration not being notarized?
We already answered that.
Yeah, it's because it's not an affidavit, so it's different. It still carries penalty of perjury though, but it's not.
And he's filed 3 of them, so I mean he's
he's
like like
they say perjury.
He's basically. I mean, like if this went to like jury trial, and they say if you don't find a witness credible, you can dismiss like all of their testimony, some of their testimony. And honestly, at this point, I don't really find him credible, which sucks, because like he really did at one point seem to like understand what was going on and was trying to get the word out. And then I don't know what happened to him. Maybe he got like drank some of the Stephanie Jones Kool-Aid, the cuckoo Kool-Aid, where it makes people go crazy. In my opinion, that's just a guess. And I don't know.
Gigi's asking, saying it's too coordinated. Ezra just happened to have that detailed letter ready to go same day. I had a look into this. People also come to me and said, Leanne, can you see if there's any metadata? And I did actually go and look. I looked at There wasn't any though, because the metadata that is on the letter is actually the court's own metadata. Because what happens is you email the letter or your filing as an attachment. You email it to the court, and the court then kind of process it, and then they upload it. But then that processing then changes the metadata to their metadata, so it overrides whatever it was before, because you're technically recreating a new document. So it was the court's own metadata, so that was completely useless. However, one thing I will say is, as a legal professional myself, it was a 2 and a bit page long letter. I could have written that in an hour. I really could have. I think that would have been absolutely no issue for Ezra Hudson. But we did actually look. I looked at the metadata of both the Vatuska declaration, based on the court's timing of when it was uploaded, and of Ezra's letter. And I did actually get a definitive answer, and it was actually longer than you think between the two filings. Because I went through it with Cassidy. It was like, oh, she asked me the same question, and I said, well, actually, the Vatuska letter was declaration. Sorry, it was uploaded in my time at 6:03 p.m. Bearing in mind, I'm 5 hours ahead of New York. So Vatuska's declaration was added to the docket at 6:03 p.m. So that's 1:03 p.m. in New York time on the 21st of August. Lively's letter was added at 3 minutes past 3 a.m. in the morning of the 22nd. So take 5 hours away. That's like 3 minutes past 10 at night on the 21st. So there were actually several hours between them being received and uploaded to the docket. Almost 9, well, is it 9 hours? Nearly 9 hours. Which
So
is,
there's a lot of time, yeah.
there is a lot of time.
And she's gonna jump on anything that's gonna like even remotely help them, because they like have nothing right now. So like when there was this, this thing, I could see her being like, oh, I'm all over it, and I'm just gonna use all the code words and like just argue my point to death over this like filing from this this declaration of this person.
It wasn't complex law. That's the thing. The filing, it was a 2-page, two and a small bit page letter, and basically all it was look, see, this letter proves this. There was no complex law. There's no citations really. There was nothing that required in-depth research. It was just a letter taking advantage of a filing. She had 9 hours to write it. An hour tops that would have taken to write, really. But between the two hitting the New York docket, there were 9 hours between them. So now, granted, that doesn't mean that she didn't see it for the whole 9 hours, but I'm just saying, like, there was some substantial time between James Vatuska's hitting the docket and then hers hitting the docket. And because she is a noticed attorney, her filings will they don't go through the same channels as like mine did as a pro se. They're pretty instantaneous, because she's got that special permission to file. She's got her pro hac vice, and she is noticed in this action. So that means that she can file, and it doesn't need to go through all the various checks and everything that like something from myself or Perez would need to go through. So we went the extra mile to clarify all of that and the timings and everything. But there was more than enough time for a seasoned lawyer like Ezra Hudson to file that letter. Can Wayfarer respond? No, technically that has been removed, because the judge has said, well, she had no permission to file it, and I'm relieving you of any obligation. So technically they don't have permission to respond, and they've been told there's no need.
Yeah, they don't need to.
I would have been interested to see what they responded with, but
no, they're just staying calm, and I think even, let's see, Judd Wallace, his lawyer, like filed something about like unredacting parts of his motion to dismiss that had Lively's deposition, because remember, they also got time to talk to her in her deposition. And so whatever, we're going to get part of that, I think, coming soon. And I think that Wayfair is like sitting good. I mean, I know there's this like they have to like wave off this storm, but like these are also like nothing burger storms. It's like Isabel is acting insane, in my opinion, dodging the subpoena, but she happily like complied with Blake Lively's subpoena. So that's on. And then Wayfair doesn't even care at this point. They're like, either use her, like she either needs to like accept this subpoena and like we both use her, or we both don't. We don't care. And to me, that just again signals that like they have enough right now that they're sitting pretty. And then it's like Lively's team, to me, who's like acting, and they have been like they just are acting off the walls, like deranged.
Yeah, and I will say something on that as well, right? There is one reason. I have no doubt that they don't really need Isabella Pereira, and I have no doubt that even if no one else felt the same, Justin Baldoni is probably sitting there going, "Well, I don't want her to feel harassed." That sounds exactly like him, but it was never really going to be considered by the judge because Lively's side of it is not in front of him either. So that'll be something for Wayfarer and Lively to discuss behind the scenes. However, it was important for them to get that in that letter, the offer, like, well, she doesn't want to be here. I've got no problem. We don't need her. But, Lively doesn't get to keep one-sided discovery. That's not fair, which is true. That's not on equal footing. However, when you're going to get headlines going nuts saying, look, this actress is accusing Baldoni of harassing her with a subpoena, the best thing you can do to counter that, and yes, I'm saying that this is a PR thing, is to then put in the filing in response, hey, we don't need her. It's all the ball's in Lively's court now. So if she feels harassed, we're happy to let her go, but Lively has to do the same.
Well, I believe them. I don't think that they need her. And
I don't think they need her. No, I don't.
And I think I just think that they're just in a position to stay calm and checkmate everything at this point. And we'll see, what happens. What happens next. But what was the other question?
I've got a few more. So, hold on. Right. Do we think Katie Joy will be called as a witness?
No.
I don't think so. No, I don't think so. I mean, she's has some great finds. She's obviously reported on this case quite extensively. I don't think that she's going to be called as a witness, though. I mean, her subpoena was dropped. Her subpoena was also dropped without information being turned over on the same day that everyone else's was. So they clearly don't need her. What's going on with Jed? Well, he's waiting for his to get an outcome on his motion to dismiss.
And the judge will just wait until like the last possible minute to rule on that.
Probably.
Like he did last time.
I'm hoping he doesn't, though, because she came with nothing else.
No, I know.
In fact, I find that this amended complaint is worse than the last one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it's just filled with crap. It's like, oh, Steve Sauritz buys $20 T-shirts. Look, it's a sign of harassment. Like, it's just ridiculous. But I mean, the one thing I will say is, and this is quite interesting to look at, right? Is obviously almost the entire time that Lively v. Wayfarer docket has been going on, and that has obviously got Jed Wallace included in it. Also, at the same time, the Wallace v. Lively one in Texas has been running, alongside in parallel. There is next to nothing on the Texas docket. There's motions to dismiss. They've been briefed, and then there's been amended complaints. There has been none of the arguing. There's been no motions, really. There's been hardly anything at all. I do. I think that I feel like the judge in Texas, though, he's just taking his sweet ass time because he had the motion to dismiss brief for quite a while. He didn't do anything with it, and then they amended the complaint.
Well, yeah, I don't think that the judge in Texas can do anything at this point. Like, they still have to wait for this.
Yeah. Well, when he could make a decision on the motion to dismiss as pending their Lively's one, or or decide on the jurisdiction. Just do something.
Well, I think he has to wait. But I mean, I thought Jed has our argument is solid, and I think Lyman could rule on this in his sleep, but he's just going to wait it out. And but I do think that it was interesting because I felt like there was something like for the unsealing, it's like they wanted they wanted part of the deposition, and it was like something with her FIHA complaint.
Yeah.
And which I still think is interesting because did she ever actually reach out to the EEOC? Do we know that?
In her in the interrogatories, she was, I think it was her interrogatories to Wayfarer, or it might have been the other way around. There was mention of EEOC documentation. I would have to. I will look that up while I'm kind of,
because I don't think we've ever seen it though. Like, we've only seen it. The only place I've seen it was when referenced in the CRD letter where they told her okay, you have whatever 30 days to contact EEOC. And it's I don't know if she ever did, but I think whatever Jed is trying, asked to unseal, and I think he did say they already conferred with Team Lively, and they said that it's okay to unseal this stuff. So we're just waiting for the judge to have them do it. That'll be interesting to see what is said there, because it's going to have to be something with jurisdiction. And in my opinion, maybe it's just the state one. Maybe it just has to do with something with the FIHA thing. But it made me think, what is going on with the EEOC thing?
Well, so these are this is stuff that Blake Lively has asked from Wayfarer. This is when did I do this thread? This was May 19th. Her unsealed interrogatories. So this is Baldoni's, this is Sarowitz, so this is Wayfarer. And in that interrogatory, she asked everything of Sarowitz. Right? So I went through. I instead of repeating myself, I just said, she asked everything that was asked to Sarowitz, and there was, which was identical to Baldoni, minus the questions about back problems and neurodiversion. So she wanted everything known to man, is what I said, including metadata, all social media posts, blah, 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 blah. Everything about her, Reynolds, 10 years of state or federal complaints. There was a lot. There was literally everything. It was, and I think this is what I called it, 79 pages of unreasonableness. But Wayfarer specifically, she asked everything of Sarowitz, who was the same as Baldoni. The additional are, and then they are put here, all documents submitted to or received from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission concerning Miss Lively's charges of discrimination assigned EEOC numbers 480-2025-. That sounds like it's this year that it's been filed. Don't know.
Yeah.
2025. And then 01541. And then there's a second one, 01542. So it sounds like there's 2 complaints have been filed with the EEOC, but they've only been filed this year.
So so above that, what was this document where she says this?
This is Lively's unsealed interrogatories. This was back in May. I don't think there was no documents attached to it. It was
I mean, that's the weird. That's just, I don't trust, because they'll show her writer contract thing, but that she signed whatever on May 5th. There's certain things that they'll show and they'll say it's one thing, but it's another thing, and I'm I don't know. It's just interesting to me she hasn't showed that.
No, she has. I got it from a document. I think I just didn't attach the documents, but
okay.
I'm actually on the docket because I'm already in June. I'm just going back to the night because this would have been 19th of May. So Now I've got the date. I'll just go to it and find it. So that's
You want some tea on the docket?
Yeah.
So CJ actually from, C Journalist 24, CJ Investigates, C Journalist, citizen journalist. She broke this first, but so I had made this thing like Docket Avalanche, like an AI song, because I was like, what the hell happened with this docket? And then remember it was like breaking last week. And I was like, was it the Lively Wayfair? And then court listener, so it's like free, what's the name of it? But the court listener responded to like my post. I didn't tag them or anything. And they said it was like a DDoS attack. And they fended it off. They said they took some wounds fighting it off. But I just thought that was really interesting. Like, I don't know how they like even found my post or anything. Maybe it, just anything that says court listener comes up for them or something. But it was interesting that they like told us, because it also is strange. Like when all those things were dropping, there was a DDoS, and who attacks a freaking like court, like free project website thing where it's like a non, for court docs, unless someone has like an interest in not wanting their court docs to be shown or something weird.
That sounds nuts.
Yeah, it is nuts.
I can't find it. I hate the way that these are just not properly categorized on the docket. There's all the sanctions crap I'm trying to get through, motion to compel.
And I bet the part that we see of the transcript, for her is going to be the same with Lyman. I mean, it's not going to be more than like probably a page. And it's probably going to be like every other sentence will be objection. And so I'm sure it's just something small. It was like, referring to her FIHA complaint. So that's just what made me think about it. But again, it's not even like they need that unsealed or unredacted, because their arguments are pretty much strong enough, I think.
Yeah. No, exactly. I can't see it. It might have been that the docket's been closed for that now, because it might be dealt with. But yeah, that was definitely.
Well, if anyone finds it, just can someone like tag me or DM me, because I haven't been able to find it, and it just
might be on Pacer, and I'm using Court Listener at the moment. So, but I'm not logged into Pacer at the moment. So I'll have a look for that. I'll post that later, or I'll send it to you. When I find it, it is there, because I wouldn't have put a post up if I hadn't seen it. And specific. I mean, I had the numbers there, so I clearly opened it up and read it at some point.
But do you think that Ezra just put those numbers there and not?
No, I think they exist. I think she's filed it, but it looks like she's filed that complaint sometime this year. So when that is, I don't know, but sometime between January 1st and May the 19th, she has filed 2 complaints by the looks of it to the EEOC, because I did an entire thread on why she didn't need to go to the EEOC. Actually, she didn't actually have to, because you have the option of
suing on your own, but don't you have to get a letter for a right to sue?
No, that's not what I was thinking of. Hold on, where's the bookmark? I've got bookmarks. I have this. So I did an entire thread on it, because I was correcting misinformation. We'll call it that. So she has a choice on whether to use the CRD. Oh, hold on, where is it? Yeah, you can generally file with either agency. Sometimes you may be able to file with a CRD. So with a CRD, you file a harassment complaint against the employer and the individual harasser, which is what's going on in this case. So Blake Lively is filing against both Wayfarer and It Ends With Us movie, as well as the individuals Sarowitz, Heath, and Baldoni. At the EEOC, you can only file a complaint against the employer. I did a whole thread here. I'll share this, but I did actually put an attachment. So, because I always like, if I say something where I can, where there's evidence to back it up, I will usually attach that as well. And that's what I did here. And that's this. Can you see what I'm doing here?
Let me see. Yeah.
Yeah. So it literally says you can generally file with either agency. Sometimes you may only be able to file with a CRD. For the instance at the CRD, you can file a harassment complaint against the employer and the individual harasser, or just the individual harasser. At the EEOC, you can only file a complaint against the employer. So she couldn't have filed against Sarah Baldoni or Heath if she'd gone down the EEOC route. She had to go through the CRD to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And this document is from
because they're specifically all named on it, even like
yeah. So and this document is a legal aid at work. So this is an information well, it's an information kind of. So this is where I got it from. This is the actual thread. It's March 25th. And
can you repost that thread? I want to see it.
Do you see the thread?
No, right now I'm seeing the website.
Oh, but I'm gonna tab into. Oh, okay. Here I am.
Okay.
Right. So this is So this is March 25th. This is my thread.
Or can you post this underneath your post for the video?
Yeah.
And then
I can put it in there.
Look into
because I also link another post I did as well. So here I literally answer the question. I was asked whether her CRD right to sue letter saying she should contact the EEOC if she wished to obtain a federal right to sue would invalidate her claim. And the answer is no. Aside from the fact is, if that was the case, her claim would not be progressing in the federal court if like she's been there for months. So this technicality has not got her out. But I did another. So this is. I also covered the loan out agreement. People were like, well, she's not.
Oh, good. Someone asked me about that, and I was like,
No, she is an employee. Even with this, so I will post links to this thread.
Yeah, can you do that? I don't know where you can put it either in the description here or like post it.
But it has this link then here, which then takes you here to this legal aid at work document, which tells you the difference between the CRD and the EEOC.
Awesome, that's so cool. Good research there. Do you want to? News that just dropped. Leslie Sloan has entered the chat. She just filed a letter, and it just dropped. It's number 690, and her exhibit is some email. I don't know what this is about, but I don't know if it's worth pulling up if you want to look at it.
Yeah, I'm going to. I'm just quickly going to, because the people are waiting for their questions. I'm going to quickly answer these. Sean, yes. I think they are going hard for Freeman. I think her deposition did go that badly.
Yes, definitely that
bad. No, it wasn't Ellsrich that figured out Bansham. It was actually Without a Crystal Ball. But other people have also said that. So yeah. Right. Yeah, covered that one. Do we know how Max is asking? Do we know how many content creator subpoenas still remain out of the 107? Quite a few.
Mm-hmm.
There was 42 of us who were known between the three subpoenas that I was part of. We know about one on this. Out of the outstanding 60, I think it is 64. There is one that we know of, the Argentinian content creator, but I don't know of any others.
No, we haven't heard about the others, and it just makes you wonder, like, what kind of crazy plan? I mean, you have to think, like, these people are it just appears they're so desperate for any sort of, like, evidence, anything that they can twist into evidence to support this, like bonkers narrative, instead of, like Freeman said, you'd save yourself a few $1 million to just look in the mirror, and you can figure out exactly what happened.
Exactly. I've just very kindly had a super chat as well. Thank you so much to Anomaly. She has no essay discussion. She is obsessed with smear and ruin. Just Baldoni, no way her claims are valid. This is all a game to her. How is this allowed? Mm-hmm. I feel the same. We should not even looking for the evidence of the sexual harassment anymore. I mean, what is going on?
Yeah, I guess she didn't realize, they had cameras on set, so her whole
with
all the
audio
allegations there are blown up. I mean, someone saying that, and she's the one, and I think this was like justice for like JBS or something on set showed a text where she's the one who said the sexy comment first before allegedly saying that like Baldoni said it, and she was the one who said she wanted to make her character more sexy. So she was the one throwing it out there. And then I guess he finally said it back and she's like, aha, gotcha, sexual harassment. And to that, I say, you are going to look like a fool because there's going to be a jury of 12 people. And I guarantee you at least one has like dealt with actual SH or SA or knows someone who has. And she's making it, she's minimizing it. She's making it look like a joke. Someone saying sexy to you is not sexual harassment. I find that like incredibly offensive and disgusting that she would even claim that. She's going to look like a joke. And so if that's all she had in the 150 hours of film or of film footage from the set, that's all she has. So I guess now that's why she's just acting insane and wants to kick the lawyers off the case and have all these other things happen. And all her claims are falling apart.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just looking at this. What's her name? Leslie Sloan filing. So it's another gratuitous filing again to say that
she's gonna say she wants her $1.3 million.
No, this is about the messages between Wayfarer and James Vatuska. So I'll share it. I'll have to read it, I think.
Well, what's the email?
Well, that's what I haven't got the letter in front of me. I've got the actual email. So this is a letter to, by the looks of it, Kevin Fritz, from Boyshiller Flex. No, they were Vatuska's previous lawyers, weren't they?
Well, this I have her letter. She says that she's filing this to support Sloan's party motion for attorney fees and costs. Yeah, this is what she all cares about, the money. This is like, these people are so pathetic.
So this is an email between this is from okay. So
and she wants the court to use Exhibit A to the August 21st, 2025, which was that declaration of James Vatuska when deciding the motion.
Right. Following up on the below email we reviewed. So this is the 27th. Yeah, I'm in order. So this is May 27th. So this is the first one. So they're writing to Kevin Fritz. Following up on the below email, we reviewed your recent production, which does not contain the text messages concerning our client. So they are acting for James Vatuska, upon which you base your affirmative claims. Specifically, we did not see in your productions the text messages with James Vatuska, aka the Daily Mail reporter, that appear on page 129 of your amended complaint. Please confirm that you will produce these communications by the end of the week. The unaccepted conversations, including your client, Melissa Nathan, Brian Friedman, and James Vatuska, should be produced in full. As these documents are responsive to several of our RFPs, to which you did not object, it is unclear on what basis you would withhold non-privileged communications with third parties concerning our client when they concern or contain the very statements you allege to be defamatory. While the messages as published in your complaint are undated, this does not dispel of your obligation to produce them, as they are readily available and not subject to the search and review burdens discussed in our correspondence below, which is obviously not there, concerning date ranges. Production of these communications should comply with the parties agreed to ESI protocol, including information as to the dates and times of the responsive messages. Please be ready to discuss this issue at the parties' upcoming meet and confer tomorrow. And then, so that's from one person at this Boyce, Schiller and Flexner law firm. And then another person from there has also emailed 2 days later on May 29th. Kevin, thank you for conferring with us yesterday. So this is obviously after the meeting confer. Please see below the summary of our conferral, which memorializes the Wayfarer party's position with respect to the issues we discussed. the Wayfarer parties agreed to produce the full unexcerpted messages that are screenshotted in their pleadings, even if they post-date December 20th, 2024, but will not commit to a timeline for doing so. These messages include 1, the text messages between Melissa Nathan and James Vatuska, excerpted on page 129 of the attached first amended complaint, and 2, the text messages between Melissa Nathan, Brian Friedman, and James Vatuska that begin on page 15 of the attached California action against the New York Times. The Wayfarer parties otherwise stand on their proposed date range of December 31st, 2022 through December 20th, 2024 to search for responsive documents, including with respect to RFPs 6, 7, and 28 regarding prior sexual or employment-related misconduct. So that's the attachment. So I'm not sure how that helps her. That seems to help Lively. It's like, hold on a minute. They were aware that they had not handed in the full thread of messages, etc., etc.
You should have just stayed quiet. Like, I would have just stayed quiet, let your fees things stay on there, and hope that this James things goes away, because otherwise it's going to make her look really bad, especially with what Without a Crystal Ball has.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, she has kind of leapt on us and gone, look, it's basically the same letter as Lively as filed. It's like, look, they knew what they were doing. They knew that Sloan never said this, blah, 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 blah. I want my money. That's what this letter is. So I'll get to that tomorrow. We got a plan for today. So
yeah, I think we've definitely done like our enough for today. And the last surprise, this is a nothing burger, but we got a lawyer again on the Nevada docket from Wilkie, and it's Lauren Martin is the one that was just added on there. No biggie unless anyone knows who that is, but I don't think it matters. I think Perez, I mean, they could put anyone up against him. They could send anyone out there, and I think he's gonna do just fine on Thursday.
He's doing great. I'm really pleased with how he's handling stuff. Yeah, I did say I was a bit, he needs to tone it down. And in the end, he did need to tone it down. The judge told him to. But it served a purpose, because Wayfarer obviously used that then in a response to Lively's motion for sanctions, which we'll get to in a minute. And, it did kind of set the tone, really. Like, he managed to get a lot done. He did a lot of good, actually, as well. Like, he was able to get some of the things that hadn't been redacted by Lively. Rules were changed. And when I saw his, I skimmed his motion to quash, and it was actually really good.
Mm-hmm.
Great use of the law. I was really impressed. Super Sarah is asking, who gave Daily Mail a copy of the Ranjam subpoena? Do we know? We don't know. If I had to guess, I'm going to go with Stephanie Jones. I see no benefit to Lively. I think it's caused a headache for Lively.
Okay, can I read you this order that just came from Nevada? Okay. It says, the Honorable Old Judge, Magistrate. Oh, why is the magistrate judge saying whatever? Documents submitted by Perez, blah, blah, blah. Evidence. Okay, so this was his additional evidence that we just talked about. It says the court cannot serve as a repository for the parties' evidence. The parties may not file evidence unless the court orders otherwise. Your documents are returned herewith. Motions. A document requesting a court order must be styled as a motion, not a letter. See local rule, blah, blah, blah. Letters to a judge will be disregarded. See Federal Rules of Civil Procedure 7. And then, so these are his exhibits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Copies have been distributed pursuant to the NEF MAM. And okay, so his I'll pour Perez, because it is a very strange thing in New York how this on the federal docket, like everything's a letter. I mean, most cases aren't really. It says what the thing is. It's not like a letter for this blah blah blah. So poor Perez filed this letter to add these exhibits, with the blackface and the plantation wedding and these texts. But it's fine. he can keep those and just keep them very organized for Thursday's hearing so that he can present everything at once to this judge for why he should not be subjected to the subpoena and and make his argument. But I think we'll see if these exhibits end up on the New York docket, which I thought they would come up faster considering he can electronically file now on his own in New York, going through the clerk. So
is he signed up for that? Because you got to sign up for that.
Yeah, he did. He signed up. The judge told him to sign up. He did, and so his things in New York should be hitting faster. Christina says I hope he reads. He does. He said what he filed. He read it. He did like a little remix, like a 1-minute little clip of it on my page, but I put a link to his video. You could see the whole thing. He's very good at that. I love hearing him read his letters.
Yeah, no, exactly. I've got some questions. So Diana's asking, I know this is off topic, but do you think they misspelled Wayfarer on purpose to claim they misspell things all the time? Kind of like the subpoenas with the content creator? No, because actually, I don't know if this is the case in America, but certainly in the UK, like people, when you're training, and you want to, and you're applying for a job, your application is judged. So if you have a spelling or a grammar mistake, you can lose a job, or if you're brand new, and within the 2-year time limit before your legal rights kick in, you can lose a job on that in like the legal profession, because a comma in the wrong place can change the entire meaning in things like contracts.
Yeah, well, Isabella Ferreira's lawyer obviously didn't care.
They did not. I absolutely did not care. And do you know what? Neither did Ezra Hudson when she misspelled my subpoena.
Yep, exactly.
So that is how ridiculous it is. These are expensive. It's supposed to be supposedly elite lawyers, and spelling mistakes are not okay. I know I do it all the time on X, right? But that's a combination of, autocorrect. I've got a really aggressive autocorrect on my phone.
Yeah, but a subpoena is a different story.
Well, yeah, exactly. When you're doing a legal filing, you do not make the mistakes, because even a minor one can change the entire context and meaning. And you could potentially be signing up your client to all kinds of obligations, or, like you put a comma in the or a full stop in the wrong place in a series of numbers, and you could be negotiating a settlement that's way too high or way too low for your client. It changes everything. Yeah. So spelling and grammar is a big problem, and I think that's what annoyed me. It's what annoyed Omar, and it's probably what annoyed not actually Golden, because you expect better. You do, and that's rule number one. Well,
it was a manic. It was a manic filing. I mean, I feel that guy was like either like on something or.
And they called her Mr. Pereira.
Yeah, they
picked that up as well.
No, that was embarrassing. That was so bad. And if James Vatuska really needs a lawyer, he should hit that one up, because probably the only one crazy one enough to take him. Chris, and this is to follow up with what Christina. I get what she said. She said, yeah, she knows. Of course, I should have known better. Christina, of course, watches all press. She said she hopes the judge reads the exhibits anyways, and I agree with that. I hope the judge gets to at least see them, or because they're like headlines, and he put articles with it says like Lively married on a slave plantation. So I agree.
Yeah, no, exactly. Joe's asking, is Perez allowed in court to speak in layman terms, being pro se? Yeah, he is. Courts over in the UK is called litigants in person. If you're not represented, you represent yourself. And courts are more lenient towards you in that sense. They know you don't have that knowledge. They don't expect the etiquette that they would expect from lawyers. So it's a different feel. They'll still hold you to the rules, And if you need to be held accountable, you'll be held accountable. But he won't have to, he won't have to deal with all the pomp and everything that a lawyer would be expected to do. And he won't have an assumed knowledge of the law at that same level. If he can show that he's done his homework and everything, it will impress. So
yeah, and I hope he really, really, really does his homework and knows what he needs to be prepared for Thursday.
Exactly. Yeah, it's I'm sure he'll be fine. He will be fine. If he's confident, right? If he's got nothing else, and he's got a lot going for him, so I'm not saying he's got nothing else, but the one thing you can't say about Perez Hilton is he is not bursting with confidence. He does need to be respectful. Like, I know he sometimes pops into the chat, so if he might turn up or you watch the video later, I try to give a little bit of advice where possible, and it's not the time or the place to be joking around or messing around. I mean, he's not doing anything for clicks in that moment because he can't record anything. So he wants the judge on side. He wants him to be taken seriously.
I think he'll make a good argument. Exactly like you said, there's no cameras in federal court. So he's fighting for himself, and I think he'll take it seriously, and he respects this judge. So,
and he kind of needs to the best advice I would say to him is he's argued about his concerns, his safety of the kids and everything, all very good arguments, very valid and legitimate arguments. He needs to, when he walks in that door, leave Perez Hilton at the door and walk in as Mario Lavandiera. It needs to leave the kind of the persona, because I've seen his videos, and I know that when it's needed, he is incredibly calm and measured and very articulate, and that's the side of him that the judge needs to see and hear from.
Yeah, I think he gets that, and he knows, and he Christina says he's gonna wear his florals. He'll wear his florals, yeah.
Jane's asking, they want the money because they've spent a fortune. If she uses a letter in her motion, they should be able to respond to deny it, right? Yeah, they should get a right response. However, this may end up going the same way because it wasn't asked for. It may go the same way that Lively's did. So the judge might say, "Oh, look, you're supposed to give what you're supposed to do is request a right to file, and you normally attach it to the request. But they haven't made any request to file this, so I wouldn't be surprised if the judge says, "I'm not going to allow it." I don't think I'm going to go over the without a crystal ball. They were interesting.
Yeah.
That was really interesting. I'm not going to go into it too deeply. It definitely contradicts James Vatuska. Not the declaration. He's sticking by look, I spoke out of turn. I didn't mean that. I don't like the whole misleading thing, but I'm waiting. I'm going to reserve judgment because there will be a whole other Wayfarer side to that, which they'll respond to the declaration, I'm guessing. They won't respond to Lively, but they may respond to the declaration. The judge may say you don't respond because, again, he didn't ask for that either, and it didn't need to be filed.
Yeah, no one asked for that. What was that? And that's why I thought he thought maybe it was protected his butt. And that's why I'm saying these are manipulative lawyers. Maybe they put pressure on him to be because they need something right now. They're sinking. When does discovery close? The end of this month or September 15th?
September 30th, I think it is.
Or 30th? Oh, I mean, I guess
I can't remember. I don't have the dates on me, actually. Oh, I do. I'm lying.
They're getting to the end of the road here, and they're coming up empty. And I just think I don't know. I think they're going to lose on Thursday, to be honest. I don't think they're going to get it transferred. I don't think they're ready to fight in Nevada.
No, I don't either. I'm inclined to agree with you. I think there is all kinds of problems here. I don't really know what's going to happen, to be honest. I would be interested to see if we do get some kind of response. Hold on, I got the calendar here in front of me. So yeah, September 30th, fact discovery completed, depositions completed. So October 15th is all discovery, and that includes the expert discovery.
When is it? October 15th?
October 15th.
Oh, so there's a while. I mean,
there's a while, but fact discovery itself, which is what all this is September 30th. That finishes. Motions to compel regarding production by non-parties and responses to requests not issued is August 22nd. So that's today.
What's today?
Motions to compel regarding production by non-parties and responses to requests not yet issued. That deadline's today. Motion and then responses to motion to compel by non-parties. August. I don't know what is going on here. Well, the responses, right? So the deadline for motions to compel production by non-parties and responses to requests not yet issued, right? So they're two separate things. The deadline for that is today, but then the responses from the non-parties to motion to compel is August 26th. Right. Okay, I'm with it now.
Okay, so
yeah. So it's September 30th is the fact discovery.
We have a little while. I mean, I don't know. They're panicking though over something, and we are looking towards next week. To me, like the highlight is going to be Thursday, and it's like I think his hearing is at like 12:30 Pacific time, so 12, 1, 2, 3, so like 3:30 Eastern time. And I expect we will get an update from him like shortly after that. So I'll be waiting to hear about that. And yeah, I don't know, but I think what a crazy week from Isabella to James, and now some people in the chat have been saying that Without a Crystal Ball posted like even more things. So I'm not really on Insta, so I'm gonna check it out on YouTube. Hopefully,
I'm loath to. I will probably post some stuff with the screenshots I've got. I'm going to be really honest. I'm cautious about posting anything about Without a Crystal Ball after the experience I had last time. So,
well, I mean, you don't even have to post it. I just want to see the.
No, but I do though because it is relevant. So I will do it on this time, because I am praising what she's doing. Hopefully I'll come out of it unscathed.
No, I think that's good. I think people who praise and lift up each other, especially like the content creators, it's like you're giving the benefit of the doubt, and I think everyone needs to be more supportive and good with each other. I love that. I love everyone getting along, and I think it's a perfect.
It's relevant at the end of the day to.
Good for her for like reading this. I feel like other people must have this. Like maybe it's in their spam folder and they just like never read it or something, because it's like it does seem a little crazy, but it's so relevant now, and now it makes sense. And good for her for holding on to this.
No, that's absolutely fine. But just really quickly though, before we wrap up, just the other thing we haven't said too much about. Wayfarer obviously responded to yet another request for sanctions. So Lively has filed two different requests for sanctions, just in case that's not clear. A few months ago, it was the Rule 11 sanctions. This is the Rule 3.6. They are identical. They're based on the same Friedman statements. However, the response was epic.
Yeah.
That really that restored my zen the day after the Isabella Ferreira filing, to get that the next day, along with Wayfarer's equally good response to Isabella Ferreira. Like I say, I thought it was a good response. So did Omar. But this sanctions one, they did so well. They really knocked out of the park, I think. I don't know how the judge is going to go on it. But they were right. I mean, Lively put forward 10 statements by Friedman. One of them wasn't even Friedman's statements. It was Megyn Kelly. I'm glad someone finally corrected that record. And then one of the other statements wasn't even about Lively. It was about Ryan Reynolds. And finally, again, someone said, by the way, he's not a party. What are we even talking about him for? Because we questioned his involvement still at this point a lot. When we were dealing with the subpoena we got, what part of the request was information where we had, spoken to anyone on Wayfarer's council or Wayfarer parties about him. And I was like, I don't understand why we're still doing discovery on Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why his name is still in all of those.
And then, so I was really pleased with that. But Wayfarer also come back with 14 statements by Lively. And basically said, look, if we're sanctionable, so is she. And I thought that was fair.
Mm-hmm.
Because she has said some awful things. And it can't be, well, I can do it because I'm the victim and you can't do it because I'm going to call it retaliation. That's not how that works. What did you think of their response?
I mean, I think it was on point and I think it was sharp. And I actually, to be honest, I didn't even get to finish it. Because that was when I love, like, it was so good. I was like, I want to take my time with this one. And so like I put it aside. And then we got all these other ones that I was like reading. And so it kept falling to the bottom. So I didn't finish it. But the beginning of it was really good. And I had marked it up. And yeah, I think it's ridiculous that it's obviously it's so clear that they want to get rid of Friedman. And because this sanctions thing, I think was in response to the deposition. But I think that the deposition went really bad for Lively. And then after that is when they filed like the sanctions and the other two things, like all kind of like came in a row that were all so deranged and just seemed like some kind of response. They would love to have him off this case. He's going to be the best trial lawyer out of all of these people. He's just so good. And remember, Megyn Kelly said the reason that Friedman ended up being her lawyer was because she had a deposition by him, and she said that he like scared the S out of her.
And she's a lawyer, by the way.
She's a lawyer.
She's not. This is not new territory to her. She's a lawyer, so.
Mm-hmm. And after that is when she hired him and was like, I want that guy to be on my team. And that became her lawyer.
And he won her a $60 million contract. Well, she was terminated and they weren't going to pay her, but he won her the amount, I think it was the full amount of the contract, which was not a small sum. It was something like $60 million. It was something ridiculous.
Yeah. So he's really good. He's just like, he's very good at that type of stuff. It kind of reminds me of like a Subpoena, like, the filings might be whatever, but like when he's in there, it could be the craziest person on the stand and like he's going to get to the heart of it's not going to phase him and he's going to get to the heart of the point. And so they just want to get rid of Friedman because they have nothing else at this point. They don't have evidence. So what are they going to do? They're going to try to knock off the lawyers, make noise with these other crazy people, and then like cry like harassment to the press.
Well, exactly. Sorry, I sneezed then. I do have, I'm just going to quickly, Hensholm said, yes, that's exactly my position. So I won't elaborate on that. I do have one thought process, though. Whilst I think Friedman's done a good job, there are some areas I could criticize him. In the message threads, in particular with, setting up the website.
Mm-hmm.
His two sons were in that thread.
Yeah, but doesn't his son do something with technology?
One of them does. But
so,
yeah, I know.
Keep it in the family. I think that's. I think that's fine.
I don't know. I don't have an issue with it myself, but I can see Lively making an issue potentially.
But it just all makes her look bad, though, because what's the issue is that they made a public website to put the evidence that proved everything that she said false. Like,
well, that's it. Nothing went on the website other than things that were on the public docket anyway. It's like the complaint in the timeline, Exhibit A timeline.
So when they call it defamation, when they say like it was like they posted these like defamatory smear campaign, I was like, how is their response to your, or how is their like counterclaim like a smear campaign? That doesn't make sense.
And do you see Lively had an almost identical website?
Yeah, is that from her or was that from like her trolls?
I don't know, but
yeah, so it's like okay, well, they did the same, so now they're doing the same thing. So it's like, well, now you can't complain about it anymore. Everything they do is just it gets so frustrating because it's like so bad.
I know. Well, I think I agree with you there too. Like it's like you're moaning at Wayfarer for doing it, and whether it's her or her trolls, yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, yeah, I don't know, but we've been going for a while. I know you've got to go. It's late here, and I'm feeling awful, so I am going to go. But thank you, everyone, for coming to see us and for the questions. As always, send us questions. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking probably quite a bit about Perez. So that there is that. Yes, happiness. Ryan Reynolds did have his mum in the promotion, which was weird. I do not know why she was there.
Yeah, that was weird.
Kinney came as well. Hi, Kinney. We're still glad you come here. Don't worry. Yes, thank you for coming. If you've got questions, do send it to us. We'll be talking a bit about Perez because he's obviously got his hearing and everything on Thursday. But we'll catch up with anything else if any responses come as per.
And thank you, Maud.
Thank you so much,
Christina, and
yes, thank you, Christina and Lara. Thank you so much for coming and joining me again, DFJ. I'm quite enjoying these little weekly things.
Yeah, well, it's good to recap everything because there's so many things sometimes, and but yeah, and there's a lot of reading if people want to read some of the filings. Like there's plenty of the docket fun stuff to go through. So
and we've both got all our threads as well. Other people are doing some threads. Like Ludwig's been taken off with doing some threads. I'm quite impressed. He's not legally trained, but
he's good at finding stuff. So
he is. He's great. Got a great eye for detail. So I do love him, and I always recommend people go and give him some love. Because he's involved with Kirby as well, and they do the music videos, some of the songs that have come out of this court case.
Yeah, I love their songs.
I know, right? They are so good.
They're so good. No, that's awesome. Well, yeah, thank you so much, Leanne, and get better. I hope you get better soon.
Oh, so do I. Thank you. And next week I will. I'm sure you've got some stuff going on, but I have also got my episode of Jack the Ripper on the historic crimes and trials, and we are doing the UK in the absurd laws segment, which is on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern with CJ. I don't know about the historic crimes yet because Cassidy needs to confirm with me when she's available. I will let people know as soon as I know.
Yeah, and I'll hopefully get some stuff on my channel that won't get striked from YouTube again. If I get 3 of them, apparently I'll get banned. So
no, really, how many have you had now?
Well, I guess this is my first one. I mean, I've only been on YouTube for like 2 weeks. So
well, that's impressive.
Yeah, and so I did one Van Sham video, and I get in trouble. So whatever, we'll see. I'm gonna try really hard. I'm gonna try to follow all the rules. I did follow all the rules, but whatever. I'm gonna keep posting stuff. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, keep going because I don't think anyone else is. I haven't heard of anyone else's bans and stuff being stricken. In fact, now actually Golden came to YouTube because her stuff was being muted on TikTok. She's not had a problem on YouTube, My stuff's still there as well. I haven't had anything, so hopefully it was just like a one-off.
Yeah, me too. I hope it was just a one-off. So I'll just keep trying to post stuff, and hopefully my channel will stay around. And yeah, I will see you guys all next week.
Okay. See you later. Thank you.
Thank you.